This is Mike Sylvia with New Bedford Guide. We're continuing on our interviews with the candidates for the October 3rd election. I'm here with Steve Caton, who is running for Ward 1. So, Steve, why should people vote for you in October 3rd?
Okay, Mike, thank you. I want to thank Mike first in the Bedford Guide for putting this on. We appreciate that. And everybody listening right now at home, I know it's dinner time, so a lot of people are probably stopping and listening. So we do appreciate everyone that's been watching tonight, all the candidates, to get a little bit of information. First and foremost, I want to kind of introduce myself and who I am. So as Mike said, my name is Steven Caton. I'm running for Ward 1 Councilor. And, I've been a lifelong resident of New Bedford. I ended up graduating from New Bedford Voc Tech and graduated in the carpentry major. Leaving Voc, I didn't really get into that too much as a major. I worked in the field for a couple of years, and eventually I went on and got into logistics and warehousing. So that's what I've been doing for the last about 20 years, and 13 of those 20 years I've been in management. So it's been a very rewarding experience, and I've been able to learn a lot of different personalities and working with people, which I think can actually be used here in regards to dealing with residents and the council itself, along with the mayor. I'm a father of two. I've been with my wife for about 16 years, and we've been married for 11 of them. I have a son. He's currently in elementary school, and I have a daughter that will be joining him next year as well. So I have 2 young children, and that's been my main focus, the reason why I decided to run. I've been more interested in protecting and helping to serve the youth of New Bedford, along with public safety. So when everyone asks me, Steve, what's the reason why? I tell them to look at my 2 kids. That's the reason why I decided to run. We have to focus on our future and the future of the city, the future of the state, the future of America in general is our youth, and that's the main reason why I'm taking a run at the Ward 1 Councilor position, and also public safety and making sure that people in the ward and in the city in general are safe, with crime that has been, going up, and, with the opioid crisis and everything like that too. So that's my main concern, going into this here. And that's been my platform, as well as not only that, but the schools for our children, making sure that they have the best stepping stone that they can, going into the future. And as well as, we have to make sure that we have teacher support. That's an absolute must. Teachers have to know that the school committee, which are the ones ultimately that they deal with. But I want to be able to extend a hand to the school committee and let them know that there's other people willing to work with them. And I think that's extremely important. It seems like there's been a little bit of distance between council and school committee over the years. And I think ultimately we have to kind of bring that back together. And someone like myself that can come in, and anybody, with new ideas and see if we can move the school system forward. So that's the biggest thing that we want to look at, and then I want to definitely focus on public safety again too. Big thing. We want to make sure that our police, our fire, and our EMT all have the best possible equipment that they need to service the people of New Bedford. So, those are my platforms right there for the most part of why I decided to take a run at Ward 1.
Okay, we'll go to the question. So Craig asks, what's your opinion on the fire blackouts? The fire department's blackout.
Yeah, my opinion is it's ridiculous, especially where I am, right on Ashley Boulevard. We have the fire station right there. Blacked out, it's ridiculous. When I drive by, I shake my head, because you know what? If something happens to my home or one of my neighbors' homes right around there, we have to rely on service coming in from miles down the road instead of right around the corner. So the time is just going to be unbelievable, and the risk of losing more, with relying on stations from either far north or from the west end is just unacceptable. We definitely have to take a look at what's going on. I know there's budgets, and I know there's restraints, and I'm aware of that. But ultimately, if I can get into office, I definitely want to look at that. I want to see where the budgets are, what's going on, is the money being spent wisely? So if it is, and the blackouts continue to happen, then we need to figure out something. We have to think outside the box. But no, I definitely do not like the blackouts at all.
So going around to Ward 1, what are the biggest concerns for the residents?
Well, Ward 1, in my experience of talking to people and living in there, everyone's concerned, of course, about the crime, and it's been taxes, of course. Those are two major things. Ward 1 seems to be pretty decent in regards to crime, but I think everyone's always afraid of that crime kind of spilling over into decent neighborhoods. And of course, we don't want that happening. We want to try to, limit and eliminate crime. Ultimately, in taxes, that there is a very sore subject. Everyone is feeling the pinch. Year after year, the taxes keep going up. Streets, sidewalks, aren't being corrected the way they should be. But again, I know that there's budgets, I know there's restraints. So we need to really focus on that and look at that budget and see what we can do and where we can go and trying to, help lower taxes, or at least have them not raise anymore. Even if we just took a hiatus of a few years and the taxes weren't rising. Home values keep going up, which is a great thing. But, the taxes, we got to kind of cap it up at some point. But, in regards to that business will help that. So if we can help try to bring business into the city, that, of course, will help alleviate those tax burdens.
So Wayne asks, what do you plan to do about upgrading Pulaski Park?
Well, Pulaski Park is definitely in need for an upgrade. I know that they did there was a trail that they fixed up, and that there was a small upgrade there. But definitely the people around the area and around Ward 1, I want to be able to talk to them, and I'd like to see what their opinion is. Okay, first of all, I want to see what they feel they want to see. That's a big thing. We could put in a great playground and we can do this, and we can plant trees, or we can put benches in but ultimately we need to talk to the residents and find out what their concerns are and find out what they would like to see. And moving forward, we can tackle that together.
So Craig asks, obviously you talked about public safety. How do you plan to work with the police to make the city safer?
Well, I definitely, want to do my best to work with the police department. Again, here we go with the budgets and the restraints. I know the city has its budgets, and anyone coming in saying that, we're going to put X amount of police on and this, that, and the other. I don't want to jump to any conclusions at this point in time, but I definitely want to work with the police. I think more police, maybe more patrols. It'd be nice to have more police walking the beat maybe as well. If we can't afford to put more police officers on, I'm all for it. I definitely support the police. I definitely support the fire. It'd be nice to be able to put more on. But again, we have to just make sure that we're not going to, hurt anybody else in the city. Because, if you start talking about adding X amount of fire, X amount of police, people are going to start saying, okay, well, where's that money coming from? Well, that money coming from the taxpayer. And again, we don't want that to happen. So we have to just be wise with the money, and we have to be wise in the decisions that we make. So, ultimately walking in as a counselor, multiple things that I want to look at is, how's the budget? Do we have any fat? And, is there anything there that we can use to support the police and maybe bring on more police officers or more firefighters? So ultimately, we have to go down that road, and we have to definitely look at that.
Sandra Sylvia asks, what are you going to do about the traffic on Braley Road?
Well, there's the traffic on Braley Road there. It's definitely bad. People coming out of the park and everything like that there. Could we put a stoplight? Sure, we could. Could we put a police officer there to help control things? Again, there's multiple things that we can maybe look at. If anyone has any suggestions, I would always, be willing to open up my ears and be more than happy to listen to anybody and the suggestions that they have to try to correct any type of situation in the ward.
So Walter Pyers asks, how about repaving some of the main roads up in the far north end?
Yeah, absolutely. Repaving is definitely needed throughout the city. There's no doubt about it. You know, it seems like it's been kicked to the side, not only down the north end, but everywhere throughout the city. You know, we have to wonder what's going on. Why aren't roads being serviced the way they should? Is it that we're kicking it off? Is it that there's a lack of funds in New Bedford? Is it something else? So yes, anything that has to do with roads and the sidewalks, please, you know, any ideas, any suggestions? Again, you know, we definitely want to move forward in the city and try to make that happen. So getting into office, you know, definitely we'll be looking at the budgets and seeing what we can do to help satisfy that.
So Kay asks, how do you feel about speed bumps on high-speed areas like Church Street where some drive 50 to 60 within schools nearby?
Yeah, schools, that's been a problem, for sure. I know Ashley School, even in Ward 2, is facing some major issues. I think a police presence, that's the biggest thing right now. I think that it'll be more cost-effective to the city. A police presence there in the morning to making sure that the children walking into any type of schools throughout the entire city is definitely needed. You know, that there will you know, when you put that presence there, people see that cop, people see the police car, they tend to behave accordingly. You know, so ultimately, if that's the way we need to go, I'm all for it, and I think that should be something instead of just a crossing guard. You know, utilizing our police officers there just for a short period of time, and they can go back to, you know, their regular duties.
So Andrew Jones asks, is there a solution to the panhandlers?
I'm sure it's been asked many times tonight. You know, that's a topic that so many people have so many opinions on. You know, the panhandlers, everyone wants to say that, you know, it's their right to stand on the corner and ask for money. It's their right for this, and, you know, it's their right for that. Ultimately, I think, you know, I've never seen it happen the way it's been happening over the years. I can remember growing up and not seeing panhandlers the way we have been seeing the last, you know, let's say, you know, a couple of years here. I think all it really took was one person to make a really good score, and they may have, you know, gone back and said, hey guys, I've made a really good score here, and all of a sudden, you know, they're friends, and you know, there's been more panhandlers coming out, thinking to make a quick, easy buck. But, you know, there's programs in the city that you know, they can go to, they can eat, they can have shelter. Do we need to open more? Maybe that's the answer. But, you know, ultimately, it's up to the people to stop giving. I know we pulled up to a panhandler just a few weeks ago. We gave, but we didn't give money. We actually handed the guy water. Maybe that's what people need to do. You know, if you want them off the corners, don't give them money. Give them water. Give them something else. Give them a meal. You know, go to Subway if you're close to one, and give them something like that there. Eventually, they're going to know, okay, people aren't giving us what we ultimately want, which is cash, but, you know, they're giving us food and water, which we can get already. So maybe we just, you know, need to stop. That could be the way. The barriers, you know, they seem to maybe put a slight, you know, damper on it, but they're still walking. So we need to kind of, you know, visit that as a community maybe and see what we can do.
Okay, so this is Ward 1 candidate Steve Caton. Up next, 7 o'clock with Charlie Perry, your first interview with one of the mayoral candidates. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.